Welcome to the Giving a Purpose podcast. We talk, you listen. Streaming to the world and beyond, we will talk about all aspects of life. We will host a variety of guests, where each week we will educate, motivate, encourage, and inspire you. Let's get started with your host, Mr. L.A.
Welcome to the Giving a Purpose podcast, where we bridge the highs, the lows, the lessons learned through life's journey, and filling in the gap. It's your boy, Mr. L.A. All right, man, you already know what that means. New blessings, new opportunities, new goals, great energy. Listen, continue with the plan, follow the plan, execute the plan, finish. That's the mentality, or the real mood of the year. Finish. Whatever you start, finish. Give it 150% and make sure you finish. All right. Now, I was kind of struggling about what I wanted to talk about today, but I guess I just have a time of, or a thought of, just transparency going on right now. Just thinking about life, all the things going on, it's crazy. And what I wanted to talk to you guys about is some of the things I struggle with, and I still do. That I work through, that I still, mentally have to think about and live out and see through, and that, like I said, I'm still building on. And I know you probably seen this before. I know you probably had opportunities where you've been in situations like this. But one thing that I struggle with the most, and I know it sounds crazy once I say it. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, the expectation of it may be a little crazy, but people do struggle with it, especially me. And one thing I struggle with the most is expecting the me out of other people. Now, I know what you're saying. Everybody probably thinks they are just a great person. Everybody thinks that they're just a good person. They have good intentions and just different things like that. But I honestly really do believe that about myself. Like, I try to conduct myself in a way where my integrity, my character, and everything matches up. Now, for me personally, I'm not, in my actions, I am not a me person first. Like, I think about the other person, like in anything that I'm doing. Like, if I'm going to work, I'm thinking about the students first. I'm thinking about, my colleagues first before I get to me. When I'm just doing different things, just with, that things that almost are relational in a way, I'm thinking about the other person. Like, when I'm with myself, that's when I'm with me, and that's when I kind of deal with me. But if I'm with another person, or if we're interacting, if anything is going on, like I said, work, relationships, coaching, teaching, whatever, all the things that I do, right, is that I don't think about me first. And with that is, I expect that from the other person. So, like, my thinking is, if I'm thinking about you first and you're thinking about me first, everybody's being taken care of. But sometimes I realize in life, and as I get older, that most people think about themselves first. And if you thinking about you and I'm thinking about you, somebody getting left out. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just keep it real. Somebody's missing from the equation. I know you're saying you're the math teacher, everything got to equal out, make sense. Yeah, it does for me sometimes. But like I said, in my thinking, that would be the natural thing to do. It's just like, I feel like sometimes, and I'm learning, through life, that, always being the good guy, man, there's a lot of last places. All right. I mean, there's nothing, I'm not saying don't be a good person or anything like that, but in trying to do good and just doing these things, it's like, maybe I should do what the other people were doing. Like, if I think about me and you think about you, does it still balance out? it doesn't make sense to me in my head that way, but that's how I feel. Like I said, that's one of the things I struggle with all the time. It's just like, I have these things that I struggle with, like, don't come up with rules or expectations that you can't fulfill. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's funny. Like, just growing up with my mom, I wanted to do where the thing that I can least hear her mouth. Just keeping it 100. I don't know how your mom raised you. I don't know how things were going, but I wanted to figure out and do things that I didn't have to hear her mouth. So I'm just going to figure out and follow and play within the rules, right? So it feels like, I was taught to play these rules and these certain outcomes would get. And it's like I follow the rules and I'm not getting the W's that I think I should do because of the place that I come with. Because I'm realizing, there was I don't want to say if there's a shift or maybe I just missed it. Most people, and I know you're thinking self-preservation, you're thinking about things and, in that nature, but I realize that people think about themselves first, you know, and it kind of blurs things for me, if that kind of makes sense. Even if you're not following me, listen, this is what I'm doing today. These are the things that I struggle with. All right. But it's just like, how can you every day just think about yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've got to a point now that I do things with such an intentionality. I don't know if that's a word. I'm saying it. I'm just being intentional about stuff. Like, I wake up, and yes, I do plan out stuff. So I wake up with the idea of like, I'm going to do this today. So when I'm doing it, I'm executing those different tasks at 100%. I'm not necessarily allowing them to happen to me. I'm going to put my 100% and attack all those things. That's one thing I did learn through life. Like, I did live a life where you wake up and what happens to me today, that's what was supposed to happen type of thing. Instead of like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to wake up and, I'm going to say my prayers, do stuff like that. I'm going to kill this workout. I'm going to go to work and execute everything I need to execute. Then I'm going to do, whatever the different tasks that I have to do, come home, think about what I'm going to do tomorrow, execute those things. Not that there's not room for spontaneity or anything like that. There's always room for things like that and just fun things like that. But I want it to be intentional. And I find myself in situations where I'm intentional about everything. Like when I'm in a relationship, like I'm intentional about the things. Like I may surprise you with things that I do because I think about those things. Like I'm intentionally like, all right, how can I make that person's day tomorrow? Like, what can I do to impact that person's day? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can I do for my students that's going to get them to the next level? What can I do for my players to get to the next level? And it's crazy because I find myself in these situations, and this is one of my struggles where things aren't mutual. Like, I'm not asking for tit for tat, but it's got to be mutual. You know what I'm saying? You gotta match my sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? So I get caught into those things and it's just like, man, am I wrong? I can't be like off. Am I crazy? Like, am I playing myself? Or should I just be this type of person? Like, I feel like, because it's funny, me and my mom were having a conversation and she was like, you're just hot or cold. I'm like, you're right. I said, you don't usually, like, my mom has this idea she thinks of me, but usually my mom be like, often like, Mom, that's not me at all. But when she said that, she was 100% right. Like, I'm not. It's either I'm 100% cold about the thing, or I'm 100% hot about the thing. Like, I'm not too much of a middle person. Like, when I try it, I'm going through the motions with it. But I'm going to be 100% cold or I'm going to be 100% hot. That is true story. True story. All facts. So you got to know that if I'm doing something, I'm giving my 100% on it. I'm going in there, beast mode. I'm trying to kill it. I'm trying to figure out the best. Now, like I said, it's tough for me mentally, and it's draining for me. So that's one of the things that is mentally tough for me, and the emotion part of it and the feelings part of it is tough for me because that's what I expect back. Like, I put you first. Like, meet me at putting me first. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I do something, like even in my teaching, like, listen, I'm going to make this class as less stressful as it is for you. Like, I end up getting to a point where in my classroom, for, because, the pandemic and different things like that, of course, kids are struggling, different things like that. We got towards the end of the year, especially the fourth quarter. I said, hey, check this out. We're not even going to do homework. I want you to concentrate on the days you have my class. So I'm only going to give you class work, right? So you're only responsible. Let's say I see you 3 times a week, and because of the certain schedule, you're responsible for 3 hours a week. That's all I'm asking you to do. Now, of course, I'm not even going to give you 3 hours of work to do. So even in the class, I'm not going to give you an hour's worth of work. All right, but just to make it simple, all right, I'm giving you 3 hours to concentrate on my class. There's nothing you have to do over the weekend. There's nothing you have to do once you leave my class. And so mutually, you know what I'm saying? I want back, like, oh, I'm about to knock his stuff out. Let's get it done. He's not even asking me to really be on Zoom right now. All he asking, do this work, boom, boom, boom. And of course, there are some people that are just going to be them. But you know what I'm saying? I want that energy back, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily that I got to be the cool teacher, but the fact that, all right, that's fair. Like, I can do that. Like, mutually, boom. He's making it less stressful. I'm gonna make it less stressful for him. You know what I'm saying? Instead of getting back like, oh, this is just more work. Like, remember, you would have to do more work. I mean, the pandemic is one thing that's kind of lessening the load, and we're not in the classroom, and just different things like that. Like, you have to take it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? And just like I said with anything, like the summer team that I coach. And what I'm saying to you guys, it's not necessarily I want you to think of it good or bad. Some things are just different. I'm just telling you how differently I think. Like, even I want my kids to understand, and it's not about the money. So my summer team, none of us coaches, we don't get paid. So I need you to understand that my time and my energy that I'm giving to you 150% on top of the things that I'm doing. I'm running a business, on teaching, on just a whole bunch of things, right? I take time out of my day to come teach you the game of baseball. So what I'm asking you to do is take these things, practice them so we can get better. You see what I'm saying? Like, mutually, that's what I want you to work. I don't want to necessarily be in this battle of you doing either the bare minimum. Like, because at the same time, you coming to this team or you coming to my class is something that you said you wanted to do. So I want there to be a commitment of we're going to give 100%, even when we don't feel like it. Like, even when I don't feel like it, I'm going to put you first. Even when I don't feel like it, I'm going to come to practice and teach you the game of baseball anyway. Even when I don't feel like it. That my commitment to you is beyond how I feel. That's included in my 100%. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, and that's what the struggle is for me, with things like that. Like, the struggle I have, like, sometimes talking to my mom sometimes. Like, the struggle I have is that you have these expectations that you can't have. For me, it's like I was saying earlier, like, you can't have these rules that you're not going to follow. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not, yes, we are mother son, but not mother child, if that makes sense. Because there's a difference between me being my mom's child and being my mom's son. Two different things. Like, now we are both adults. All right. So what I'm trying for you to understand is that you can't tell me, sorry for the little kids that, have this situation going on, whatever it is. Like, you can't tell me you wrapping gifts and a guy is coming down the chimney. Like, I can't just take your word for that now, because, I have that intelligence enough to seek out that information for myself, if that kind of makes sense. Like, you can't have these rules and say this is one thing and you can't do it. Because one thing I noticed that kids do, and let me get this because I don't want to get it wrong because I wrote it down, and I'm probably going to do something on this, and it kind of hit me today, is that, oh man, this thing asking me for a free trial. I just want to see what I wrote. Is that you got to realize that, I'll just paraphrase it like this. You got to understand that when kids are kids, right? When kids are kids, their hearing is mostly through what they see you do. So they hear what they see you do, right? And, through their maturation and just different things like that, to when they come to an adult, the respect of everything comes where what you say you do and what you do line up. You understand? Because when you don't know any better and you're still trying to learn a language that you just come into this world, when you're a kid, you're learning by what you see. What you see is the word, if that makes sense, right? So what I see you do and what you're saying, I may not understand what you're saying because there's a gap, but I see what you're doing. And, most kids, what are they going to do? They're going to be like, but why? You know what I'm saying? Because what they see is where the gap is with what you're saying. And it's not that you're a bad person, but it's just like, for them in their developmental stage, they're trying to find the equal, right? So as an adult, even as adult, mother, son, father, daughter, whatever the case may be, the life you live, you can't say one thing and then do another and just be like, all right, like, I can't really take your word for it, because after a while, I know there's a non-truth in there somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense to everybody. So I know it's probably not the greatest thing, but I wanted to come on here and just be transparent about some of the things that I struggle with. And one of the things I know that is tough for me is I expect the me out of other people, right? I expect the me out of other people. Like I said, it's something that I still struggle with. It's something that I'm working on. And it's tough to balance out because it's one, it's my default. And two, it's where I attach my loyalty to, because once we've established a connection, once I'm giving you my energy, that's when the door of loyalty for me opens up. Because I'm actually crazy enough. I'm loyal sometimes to a fault, right? So I'm loyal to a fault, because also in the same way, because the energy I'm giving you, I expect it back. And that's how the flow begins. And that's how the exchange of energy is. Once again, not saying tat for tat, but if I'm giving you 100% energy, I want 100% energy back. And that's how we continue the flow. That's what I mean by when I expect the me out of other people. Or sometimes, yes, I do expect the good intentions. Like, I do expect you when we're with each other, like, I got the best interests of you in mind when I'm with you. Like, that's just how I am. Like, I'm careful and I'm intentional about, like, I do have a reasoning for most of the things that I do, because they're intentional. All right. They're thought out with you in mind first, if that makes sense. But yes, that is definitely one of my struggles, is expecting the me out of you. All right, man. Hopefully that helps somebody. Hopefully through that, somebody can kind of talk out of the things that they may be going through the same thing. Like I said, it's definitely something that I struggle with and something that I'm working on daily. But I appreciate you guys listening to me, man. Hopefully you guys are going to, not hopefully, you are going to have a blessed week. All right. Please don't forget, make sure you listen to myself and Dr. Marsh every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mental Health Monday. Make sure you guys check that out all the time. All right. Also, please make sure that you continue to support the Giving a Purpose podcast. If you like it, share it, tell somebody. Also, we are on, as you can see, for the people that are listening, you can't see, but also because I'm doing this video recording, we also got a YouTube channel. So go to the YouTube channel, subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Make sure you get that down. Listen, man, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for guys allowing me to fill in the gap. Make sure you live on purpose and make sure you live in purpose. I will see you guys next week. Peace.
You've been listening to the Giving a Purpose podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play to get new, fresh weekly episodes. For more, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.